Hello recruit, and welcome to our first Astroneer Academy Extra. This course provides extra information related to our discussion of your terrain tool in last week's full course. Your terrain tool functionality does not end with removing, adding, or flattening soil. Okay, well, it kind of sort of does in there. But there are additional objects you can create for your terrain tool that will augment these basic functions. These terrain tool augments must be unlocked in the research catalog using bytes, and all are crafted on your backpack printer from various resources. The augments will only work when attached to one of the 3 small Tier 1 slots on your terrain tool. So simply putting them in your backpack won't work. They must be in one of those 3 slots. Additionally, each augment will consume power from your backpack as you use them, though they can be toggled off. To do so, open your backpack, then equip your terrain tool. If you need help opening your backpack or equipping the terrain tool, please review the 4th and 5th pages of the Astroneer Basics section of the Astropedia. With your backpack open and your terrain tool equipped, you can now hover the simulation cursor over any attached terrain tool augment to toggle them on or off. When the green ring around the base of an augment is lit, that augment is on and will consume power when you operate your terrain tool. When the green light is not lit, the augment is off. A final note about augments in general: if you store an augment elsewhere and want to re-equip it again later, using the quickstow method detailed on the first page of Astroneer Basics in the Astropedia will automatically equip an augment on your terrain tool if any of the 3 spaces are unoccupied. If all 3 spaces are already full, the augment will simply be stored in an available slot on your backpack. When you re-equip an augment, it will remain in the last state it had when you unequipped it. To put that another way, if an augment was turned off when you removed it from your terrain tool, it will still be off when you re-equip it. So now let's take a quick look at each augment and how they enhance the operation of the terrain tool. The 3 drills allow you to manipulate the increasingly harder terrain surfaces that you will encounter in the cave biomes and on planets with higher difficulty. On its own, your terrain tool can easily penetrate the green and orange terrain surrounding your starting shelter, the terrain found in the first couple of cave biomes, and the terrain of forests. Terrain in deeper caves or in the mountain biomes is much harder, however. While your terrain tool may be able to manipulate some of these harder surfaces, it will do so at a much slower rate, and you'll see sparks flying to indicate that the surface is harder than your terrain tool is currently equipped to handle. To create each drill, you must first unlock it in the research catalog. We will cover the research catalog more in depth in Astroneer Academy 105, but for now, you can open the Astropedia and check out the first page of the research section to learn how to open and navigate the research catalog, as well as how to spend bytes to unlock new technologies. The 3 drill mods can be found on the first tab of the research catalog in the 6th row. Drill Mod 1 requires 1000 bytes to unlock and is crafted from 1 ceramic. It will consume power at a rate of 0.25 units per second. This drill mod should be sufficient for most terrain on Silva and medium hardness terrains of other planets. Drill Mod 2 can drill through even harder surfaces while consuming power at a rate of 0.5 units per second, and it requires 2500 bytes to unlock. It is crafted from a tungsten carbide. Drill Mod 3 will punch through the hardest of surfaces, so of course, it's made from a diamond and requires 3750 bytes to unlock in the research catalog. It is also the most power hungry, consuming power at a rate of 0.75 units per second. If you're unfamiliar with the units per second measurement of the flow of power, don't worry, we're going to cover all things power related in our very next course. Before I move on to the other terrain tool augments, I want to revisit the idea of terrain hardness and a feature of the terrain tool that is often overlooked. See those 5 dots forming a crosshair in the terrain tool reticle? That is not simply a crosshair. It is also an indicator for terrain hardness. When I move the reticle over the darker, much harder terrain surrounding the starting shelter, the number of dots in the crosshair increases greatly. And if we head into the mountains, you can see the harder rock has more dots in the crosshair than the much softer snow terrain nearby. This handy indicator helps you understand the hardness of the terrain you wish to manipulate and can help you identify when you may need the assistance of a drill. The terrain tool reticle has another handy feature hidden in plain sight. Look at the ring around the reticle. Right now, it's a solid white ring. But if I attach a small canister containing some soil to my backpack, that ring is now partially blue. As I remove soil from the terrain, the blue section grows, indicating that my soil canister is filling. If I reverse the flow and begin adding soil, you can see the blue rings diminishing, indicating that my soil canister is emptying. This visual indicator allows you to easily keep an eye on how much soil you're carrying in a canister without needing to also watch the soil canister indicator as well. If that weren't enough, the rate at which the blue ring fills or empties is directly proportional to the number of soil canisters you are carrying. If I add 3 more soil canisters to my backpack, the blue ring adjusts. As I fill one canister, the ring is now only a quarter full. It will be half full when I have filled 2 canisters, 3/4 full when 3 canisters are filled, and completely full when all 4 canisters are filled. This ring will scale to adjust to however many canisters you're carrying. And we will see a similar reticle again in Astroneer Academy 106 when we discuss drills and pavers that you can attach to vehicles. Let's move on to the other augments available. Most of these augments can be unlocked in the first tab of the research catalog, with most of them being located in the 5th row, though there is one in the 8th row. Each and every one of them are crafted in your backpack from 1 zinc each, and the first 5 that we will discuss each require 1,000 bytes to unlock in the research catalog. The boost mod will consume power at a rate of 0.75 units per second when it is active, and it will increase the rate at which your terrain tool deforms terrain along with the rate you collect any nearby resources. The wide mod, as its name implies, will widen the reticle of your terrain tool, allowing you to deform a wider area of terrain. The narrow mod narrows your terrain tool reticle, allowing you to focus in on a smaller area. The narrow mod performs a bit slower than the wide mod by design. Both the wide mod and the narrow mod will draw power at a rate of 0.5 units per second when active. The inhibitor mod will consume power at a rate of 0.2 units per second, and it has a rather unique functionality. Equipped on its own, it will allow you to collect resources with your terrain tool without removing or deforming any of the surrounding soil. It can also be used in conjunction with the terrain analyzer to recolor terrain surfaces, but we'll cover that topic in Astroneer Academy 203. The final augment in this row is the alignment mod, which will draw 0.5 units per second when active. This one is a bit unique as well and has a few handy features. When used in conjunction with the flatten mode of your terrain tool, it will align terrain in relation to the curvature of the planet. When pointing down at terrain, this will create a somewhat flat surface. But if you point it at an angle to the surrounding terrain, it will build up and you can create something resembling a curved wall. The alignment mod works in add and remove modes as well, adding soil straight up or digging straight down from the point upon which you place your terrain tool reticle. Moving down to the 8th row of the first tab of the research catalog, you will discover the terrain analyzer, which you can unlock for 2,500 bytes. The terrain analyzer is a multi-step augment that will consume power at a rate of 0.5 units per second when it is active. You can use it to store specific terrain colors to use later for painting other terrain, but you must first store the color you desire. For example, if I want to paint my entire surroundings orange, I would equip the terrain analyzer and begin removing orange terrain with my terrain tool. You'll hear audible cues to indicate that the terrain analyzer is filling, and another when it is full. When it is full, and provided I have a soil canister with some soil, I can use it to add orange terrain wherever I like. But it has another trick it can do. With this same terrain analyzer full of orange soil, I can now only remove orange soil. The surrounding green soil remains untouched. To wrap up today, we turn to 2 pro tips. If you are participating in the Astroneer training program simulation from an early 21st century personal computer with a keyboard and mouse, your terrain tool can offer you assistance beyond just digging up soil and resources, and it does not even require an augment to do so. Your terrain tool can also help you reach objects that would typically be beyond your reach. See that nugget of compound? Right now, it's beyond my reach, so I cannot pick it up unless I move closer. If I equip my terrain tool, however, my reach when using the mouse is now extended, and I can easily pick up that compound nugget without first moving closer. This is called long reach, and it may well be one of the best features of the terrain tool. Our second pro tip comes from Fennec Potato. If you're using a controller, the simulation's cursor will typically snap to the nearest object and a tooltip will appear to highlight this object. This can come in handy as it allows you to quickly locate research items that are below the ground surface and even grab items inside of large debris wreck sites, even though you cannot currently see them. Today, you have learned how your terrain tool can gain added functionality through the use of terrain tool augments. Later today, you will learn how to use the terrain tool in order to collect a large number of resources very quickly. Next week, you will be introduced to the power network along with power consumers and producers. But until then, I'm Brandon, reminding you to keep looking to the stars.